Hello and welcome to a Wonder Care podcast, formerly known as Wonder Baba podcast. I'm Sheena Mitchell, a pharmacist and mum of 3. I combine healthcare and practical advice to support you on your parenting journey. Today I am excited to bring you something a little bit different, just as an extra little episode to cheer us up in the midst of season 3, which is focusing all on infectious diseases. Again, I just want to take this opportunity to thank my amazing sponsor for their ongoing support, and they of course are Salon Plus. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So today I am joined by Micheál Brennan, who is otherwise known as Donegal Daddy. Just a bit of background for people. First of all, you need to go onto Instagram and follow this guy because you won't regret it, I promise. So he can be found at Donegal Daddy on Instagram. Micheál works as a content creator since March 2020. He is also, and what we're going to talk about today, most importantly, a stay-at-home dad. In addition to all of this, he is a musician and he is the manager and drummer with the Red Alert Wedding Band. Micheál has a background of really positive roles over the last decade, from personal training, marketing, enterprise, event management, and obviously a musician and content creator. Micheál, you strike me as a person who is full of life and positivity, and your energy is boundless. I'm so glad I came across your page on Insta, as it reminds me on very, very busy days at work here that life is for fun and joy, which is why in the midst of this very serious infectious diseases season, I wanted to welcome you on to cheer us all up and talk a little bit about yourself and your decision to become a stay-at-home dad and what you find the best and worst parts of it and how attitudes have changed in a modern world. And yeah, basically just to keep me entertained on this dull week in February. So welcome to the show.
Perfect. Thanks very much. I'd like to meet this energetic person.
You've a lot to live up to with that intro now, Micheál.
Yeah, there's lots in that now.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself for people who aren't aware of your Instagram page? And look, I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about TikTok, but I believe you're big on there.
So I'm told at times. Yeah, it all kind of just blew up not blew up, it grew kind of from being at home in the first lockdown. Just made sense. Aoife she works as a pharmacist like yourself, and she had to go to work. And both my jobs were involved in, I suppose, the hospitality and entertainment end of things. So I was jobless. I went from like working 24/7 to nothing overnight. So then it just was the way it was. I was at home. I was made to be at home, and then we just started making videos, and I don't know why. So basically I was just at home, and I was always kind of doing bits of social media anyway, kind of for the band and like for bits of stuff at the hotel as well. And I just started, I don't know, I wouldn't even say it was documenting. I was just basically having a bit of fun trying to pass the day, because during the first lockdown it was like stuck in your wee 2-kilometer zone. So I just started doing that, and then I always had an interest in movies, so I started doing movie scenes, and then it kind of grew from that. And once, after about 6 weeks of doing a movie scene every day, I was like, Jesus, I don't know what's going on. My head was just like, I can't keep doing movie scenes. I'm stuck. I was like hitting a brick wall. But then people were like, oh, just show us what's going on day to day. So then I started showing more of the day-to-day life. And then people just seemed to enjoy it because I think it was basically because it was kind of a no BS, I suppose, no bullshit kind of way of showing it, because there's so much online of this perfectly curated life and how simple being a parent is and how beautiful everyone is. And whereas mine was just showing you there's days where it just goes completely off the wall, and there's days that it goes fine. And I think people resonate with that more so than anything. Like during the lockdown too, I found myself unfollowing pages where I was just going, that's not how it is. You know, some people that you knew their story and you knew their background, you're going, that's not
real life. Not true. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not what happened. Like, and some of the backstory, and you're kind of going, no. I think that's basically where it kind of came from. Then people just started liking the fact that I was showing that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It can be pure crap, like at times. And yeah, some days are great, and like obviously you're going to show that, but some days it's not, and you have to show that too. Like, or at least let people know that them days happen.
I think especially, do you know what, with parents, you're very vulnerable because obviously first time parents, you've never had a baby before. And even, I know, like if you go and visit someone who has a baby, like they'll have had a stressful morning getting ready for a visitor, do you know? So you're being presented with a picture that isn't real, whereas they could have been on the couch in their jammies, covered in puke and just crying, wanting to get up and make their lunch, but the baby's now asleep or whatever. You know, like the reality is very, very different to what's presented online. And it is a really weird world we've gotten into. I'm glad I'm not a teenager trying to grow up in this world, so that you can kind of see that, and you know that not everyone is perfect, and that I suppose, yeah, Insta life is not real life. It's easy to see why people would resonate with you.
It's so easy to fall into that though. Like even if you're not a teenager, like if you're just a first time parent, even, and it's completely like there's no manual, as I say, like for a baby. It's just you have to figure it out. And
did you not get that?
No, I must have missed that one. But like, and then if you think people going on that like might go, oh, I need to get some advice on here, and then next thing to see somebody going, oh, I just popped out for a latte, whatever, macchiato or something like that, and it's like so easy and everything, and the baby's all done, and you're kind of going, yeah, you missed the whole morning, as you say, of shit trying to get out, or trying to do anything. But like they just see, oh God, they're doing it, and it's so easy for them. And when it is your first time, you don't know. Early on, I found loads of people messaging going, oh God, she's great with her words. And you're going, yeah, but that doesn't matter. Like when she gets to 18 and your child gets to 18, they're going to have the same words. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, she spoke first. Like, you know,
I know.
Just, you know what I mean? It's such ridiculous things to be comparing. It's like, and even like walking with Gracie, she didn't walk till she was like 13 months, I think it was, or there's people going, oh God, she's doing great. And you're going like, yeah, but like my cousin's child was walking at 9 months, and you're kind of going, yeah. But like there was no sense of like, oh God, she needs to be walking. It was just like, that's when she started walking. People get so caught up in comparing with what they see and thinking that's the done thing.
Toilet training is a big, like you're kind of saying to people, it's all right. Your child will not be going to university in nappies.
Yeah.
They're going to figure it out, and trying to toilet train a child who's not ready to learn is an absolute disaster, because you're setting yourself and the child up for failure and all the negative feelings that come with that. And sometimes, yeah, when you're looking online a lot, you're not looking at your child. You're missing cues and missing the important information and signs that your child isn't ready to do that. But because the world and its mother's child on Instagram is able to go to the toilet on a potty, you think, well, maybe mine should be too. But like, you're better always to look down in a way from the screen and look at the child. And this is one thing I've been looking at a lot lately. Like you said there, you can curate your Insta feed. Like you can follow people who add joy to your life or bring benefit or are real. And yeah, it's no harm to do a little cull every now and again. If you're finding something isn't adding a positive influence or something positive to your life, if it's not either useful or funny or helpful or inspiring, just click that unfollow button. Yeah.
And like your one, what is it? If she doesn't spark joy, if they don't spark joy,
yeah,
get rid of them.
Marie Kondo, your Insta. Oh my God, there'll be a mass exodus, be like really heartless, unfollow. I did do that though myself. And I've always done this in the pharmacy world as well. If you've competitors or other people offering different things, you can start to feel pressurized to do this service, that service. And then you're like, no, I'm actually just going to put my head down and mind my customers that are standing here in front of me, because they're what is important. And if you mind like your own business, whether it be life or an actual business, other good things can come into it then, and it's a positive place to be. Whereas if you spend your time with your head up looking over, you're missing life and what's there right in front of you.
It might have been Gary Vee or some of them there that said, like, if you focus, the ones that are doing the best in their industry are the ones that focus on themselves and their own business, and they're kind of pushing it forward rather than trying to see what everyone else is doing, and then you end up jumping from one thing to another and jumping around. It's the same with Instagram too, I suppose. If you see people that are just chasing Instagram fame kind of thing, I suppose, or like you just end up going, you're completely fake. Your page is completely fake because you're jumping from one thing to another just to try and get views. For me, it's easy because it's me and it's my life, and it's just the way we do it. And that's the only way you're going to be consistent on Instagram or on anything, like at anything in life, as if it's actually part of you and part of what you want to do. Because otherwise you're faking it, and then it just ends up you're tired, and then you'll jump to another thing. Like you have to kind of be invested in it and enjoy it, I suppose.
And I think it's quite brave of you to put your authentic self on something like Insta. Like, the way, and I totally agree. And that's what I try and do with Wondercare and the podcast, and all of that work in my life has evolved because I love talking about family's health so much and kids' health, and I've been doing it 10 years. If I didn't love it, there's no way I'd be going, oh, let's find another way to do it, like a podcast or whatever. On any social media forum, you're open to criticism and everything. But I think if you're doing what you really believe in, actually criticism doesn't affect you, because you're like, okay, that person has a different opinion, which is completely valid. But actually, I'm really confident because this is who I am and this is what I'm doing, and I'm comfortable in this space. So while I see your opinion, depending on if you're a bot or not, I may ignore it or see it as constructive criticism, but it's not actually going to impact how you work or how you present yourself.
That's it. Like, you do obviously grow some following, like you're going to get criticism regardless. Like I've said it before, and I put up a thing about making a toasty in the air fryer, and Jesus, the hate that I got, and
why?
I was just like, because the cheese isn't melted, and the cheese isn't melted enough, and oh my God, it looks dry, and you're just going, people. And I just realized after that, I got such a laugh out of all the negative comments on that, because I was just like, if people can get so worked up over a toasty,
wait a minute now. I want to pause there for a second, because you've mentioned the air fryer. I was laughing at the video that you had recently about cooking a chicken in the air fryer. And I have to say, I have never had laughing so much as when you said, I like to play 20 minutes of classical music first before I cook it, so it's relaxed. So funny.
Yeah.
You're mentioning Aoife there and the girls. So Aoife, who, God bless her, like, you put her through a lot. And Gracie is 3.5, is that right? So what age was Gracie during the pandemic? So the start of your, I suppose, stay-at-home dadness?
9 months. 9 months, yeah. And the first video was just, that's how it kind of did start, was because it was like just after March, just in whatever, the 18th or 19th of March or something like that. And I just done a video of her she was starting to kind of crawl. So I was kind of getting her to crawl to balls out of the ball pool. And they happened to be red and blue. Whenever I was getting her to crawl to, then I twigged the Matrix red pill, blue pill scene in my head. That's how the whole thing started with the movie scenes, is just because I got her to crawl to one of the balls, and she picked the red one, and it happened to work for the scene. Like, it's crazy to think that Kate will now this month coming, she'll be the same age as her when this all started. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of coming back full circle. I'm going to be back to the 9 months thing again, and away we go.
Like, do the kids have so much crack making videos and fun with you? Or do they have, well, obviously, okay, I'm going to give Kate a little bit of a chance here. She's only 8 months old. But Gracie's quite active. She's a good cast member you have there.
And there is days like she'll go, no, I don't want to make a video. And you're like, that's grand. And you just don't make a video that day. It's like she's only going to play ball with you. So it's like she has a teenager, I suppose. And then there's days you'll show her, you'll be looking at a video and she'll go, what's that? And then well, we might make this video, and then she's fully invested in, right, let's make this video. Like, and then even there last night, whatever, somebody commented on one of them, it was the Uncle Buck scene, I think, and whenever I clicked on the comment, it started playing the video, and she was like straight up to see the video, and she just thought it was, she loves looking back at them then as well. And then, like, even now she's going around, I'm going to make a video, and she has an old phone, she's going around trying to make videos, and hi guys, and all this stuff.
And she's adorable, I have to say. Very cute child. Can I ask a question that you don't have to answer? I suppose having kids online, it's a serious topic and not what we're meant to be talking about. I just would love to know, did you have a conversation about the kids being on Insta, yourself and Aoife, or did it just happen so organically and you're both comfortable? How did you, I suppose, broach that?
Just happened organically, really. Like, and we kind of didn't think too much down into it, like, and obviously we have barrier, like I've never put them up in the bath, or never just in their nappy, or we definitely have limits where we wouldn't, they're always going to be fully clothed, and there's never going to be anything that you would kind of put up that's any way questionable, like, oh, that's a bit. So that kind of way, I think we both just, I suppose, have better respect for the kids as well. Like, and they, as I say, like, if Gracie's not feeling, when she's not feeling wanting to do anything, so you're just like, yeah, it's grand. She's mad to be on a lot of the time now, but it's kind of,
she's gonna take over your Insta page, and it's not gonna be yours anymore.
Once she pays for the nursing home, we'll be all right. Yeah. Even like swimming and stuff like that, we'd never, you just have limitations of where you're going to go, what you're going to video. Like, you'd never post anything that you would think yourself, like, oh, wait a minute.
And I think this is the whole thing, like, and I just always find it really interesting, and it's something that I haven't evolved in my head, if that makes sense. It's not something I've put an awful lot of thought into, mostly because myself and my husband just decided very early on that we wouldn't put the kids online. And that was before I was, I suppose, working in Insta and stuff. It was early Facebook days where I actually had a personal account, because now I don't have any personal accounts because I actually don't have time to do anything other than my work accounts are my account. And so it's funny, it never really came up for us, because for us it just didn't feel right. And I think, like you just said there, you have your feelings of what you're comfortable with. And I suppose when I said there, did you ever talk about it with Aoife? And you're like, well, not formally, but obviously it would have come up by now if either of you had an issue. So it's just an interesting one, and it's a hard space to navigate for all parents now, because, all you can do really is what you're comfortable with. Okay, you have a band and you're a drummer, and I know I saw that you're a wedding band. Do you do all sorts of functions?
Yeah. Basically anything that we started off like in 2000, I think it was, so 23 years ago, and it's like we're just doing pubs and clubs, and then it just evolved kind of into you're doing the bigger venues, and then after the crash, like the venue kind of end of things started to kind of die off, and we just started doing weddings, and now it's just pretty much all weddings is what we do. But I love it. Like, and we had a weekend off there, and my anxiety was through the roof, and I couldn't get on top of it at all. And then went out on Friday night and Saturday there last week, and I just was like buzzing. It was just such kind of a release, I suppose, or a relief. But it's like that. It's like anything, I suppose. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it. It's class. Like, I love doing it, and you meet so many people. And at the wedding on Saturday there, like, I met all these people that were on to me about the Sam Smith video and stuff like that, and having a crack like that. So it's kind of it adds another level to the crack that you have. Everyone's like, where's the bin bags tonight and all this crap. But,
you're going to have to wear that as a costume all the time.
That'll look well. But no, it's a great buzz. Like, and it's 4 lads that are friends, it's not just a business arrangement, if you know what I mean. Like, it's kind of the 4 of us go out and we actually enjoy ourselves as well. So it kind of makes it just that bit. Doesn't feel like work, I suppose. My
kids are always really bored by what I'm doing. They're always like, oh, Mommy, what are you doing today? Because I come out to the garage, which is obviously my studio, of course. And they're like, oh, what are you recording? I'm like, oh, chicken pox, oh, hand, foot, and mouth, whatever. And today the young fella just arrived home from school. We've someone minding them here. But he goes, oh, what are you doing now? And like the kudos, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go talk to a drummer. And he nearly lost his life. He goes to drum lessons, and so I've just upped my rating here now a lot, and kudos for the 7-year-old.
But in my house then, it's like, Daddy's just going to work, and it's like, that's grand. Good luck. There's no, it doesn't really matter that you're playing drums or not.
So funny.
Oh, hopefully that'll change them.
And it's cool though, because you get to, like, the way it works with obviously Aoife being a pharmacist, so she's working daytime hours and weekday whatever, and I'm sure she gets lumped in with some weekends as well or whatever, but you can, I suppose, keep that sense of identity and importance in your work and your passion in the music, as well as playing the most important role in your child's life, a stay-at-home dad. So it's probably a really nice outlet for you to have. I can well imagine that you'd miss it if you're not getting to do it. Do you find that being a stay-at-home dad, in terms of the reality versus expectations, did you ever think it would be like it is in real life?
I suppose be honest, I probably thought I'm never going to manage to do this at all. It's just the way it happened. Then it was like you have to. It's kind of shit or get off the pot kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't really have any option because I was off work and there was no childcare. So it was just a case of get on with it. But then when Aoife was going back to work after Kate for the whole first 5 months, I was like, yeah, it'll be grand. Sure, it's the same thing. It'll be grand. And then that last 2 weeks before she went back, I was in a heap. I just thought, how am I going to manage this? And then after a week, I was into the swing of it. Like, it's just a matter of getting the routine and trying to keep some kind of routine going. Touch wood, it's been fine so far. We've had no catastrophes or anything. We managed to get out of the house a few times and stuff like that.
That's very good.
Yeah, because I went back to work after the first lockdown and we kind of made it work. But then as Gracie got that bit older after the second lockdown, I was just like, I wasn't getting finished till 6 o'clock and creche was finishing at 5 or whatever on certain days that I would, and then mum would have to pick her up or my brother. And then, when you just get to like that age of 2 kind of a bit busier, I couldn't ask my mother to be looking after a 2-year-old and trying to have her own thing, because mum has a B&B as well. So it's like too much going on.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. And like I always did say, if the band got to like 50 weddings, I would be happy to just do the band and nothing else. Like, and that'd be enough. And like that was grand. So I was kind of going, why am I putting myself through all this running and then missing as well, being missing at home and not being able to do anything? Say my Thursday, Friday, Saturday at work in the hotel, I would go in, leave the house at 8 o'clock and be there till 6, usually 6:30, 7. You would never get away before that. And then you go straight to a wedding. And then you go home at 4 or 5 in the morning. Then you get up and you go back to the hotel at 8 in the morning. And then you go to another wedding. And then you're kind of doing that, especially from April, May on, right through to kind of October. Your life will be running from one job to another. In fairness, I would get the days off during the week, which was fine, but it just wasn't working. It was working, but the older you get, the less of that you want to be doing or need to be doing. And at the first lockdown, I said this a few times to a lot of people, I was like, why do I have no money? Like, how do I have you're doing all these hours, you're doing all this running and working and running. And then you're going, why do we not have like a load of money? And then you realize that you're all the hours you're doing in the hotel, it wasn't really paying.
Yeah. Because the cost of childcare is so expensive. Ultimately, that is it. And families are tortured with it. I think we get stuck in a trap that you're so busy every day. So busy. Just keep going. And you rarely get to actually, step back and look at your situation. The sad part of that is that when you do, because of the cost of childcare in Ireland, ultimately, one person is forced out of the workplace because actually they'd have more disposable income if one parent stayed home. And I just think that is so wrong. So wrong. And it's not good for the workforce and it's not good for families. Like, I know, it was really difficult, the COVID period, and you'll obviously with Aoife working, pharmacy became insanely busy. And myself and my husband are both pharmacists. And as you said earlier, childcare closed down. We had our kids in creche 3 days a week and suddenly there was none. So for that, whatever 4 or 5 month period, however long it was, my husband was working 4 long days. So he was doing his 40 hours in 4 days, and then I'd go in and do 36 hours the other 3 days. And you were absolutely exhausted because the work was so intense. Like, you kind of felt like you were coming out of a battle scene. I'd hit 2 guarded checkpoints on my way home. I felt like I was in a movie. It was ridiculous. And then get home the next day, you'd kind of half be coming through if you were off, and like my husband was gone, and the kids were obviously so they're 11, so they were 9, maybe 8 and 6 at the time, or 5 to start junior infants, all that, and they'd be like wide awake, and you were going, oh my god, I have to homeschool now. Is someone having a laugh? Like, it was crazy. I don't know why I just give up on homeschooling, but I tried to keep it going. Wasn't great. Ended up showing them loads of inappropriate videos of Pompeii and things that I was like, that probably wasn't child appropriate. But anyway, so it is exactly that. It's an impossible balance. And unless you're standing back and looking at your income and going, well, is it worthwhile? Do you find the benefits then of getting that time with the kids? Like, how much does that mean to you?
Oh, it's massive. Like, and it's only since, as you say, it's when you take that step back and kind of look at what you're at, kind of in a bit of I suppose, analysis of what you were doing, and you were just doing it because that was what you'd done. Like, I've been in the band, playing in the band since I was 15, 16, and like we would have been kind of steady playing every weekend, even through college. You were coming home, and that was paying your way through college and stuff. So like, it's just been the way it's been. That kind of, if that makes sense. It's just kind of like you've always done it, and if you, I suppose, what is it, Einstein said, if you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. But it just was the thing, and you kind of never took into account that the kids just, or Gracie just came in and fitted in around everything. Like, and that is the one thing I say, people think they're busy before they have a child. You don't even know busy until you have a child, and then it all goes out the window. I just think that when you step back and had a real look at it, you're kind of going, what is actually working for us, or what can work, or how is this going to work for us better? Like, how can we do this better? And then it's glaringly obvious when you look at our lifestyles that me being at home and Aoife doing her job, it just works perfectly. Like, because most of the time I'm just going out the door as Aoife's coming in, so it all works well. Like, there's very few weddings that we're kind of down the country where we'll be away earlier, and if they are, we know them obviously well in advance, so we can just arrange that her day off is going to be one of those days. So it works well. I'd say a lot more people need to kind of step back and go, what is working for us here, what's not working? Because there's definitely other families and couples that are in that wheel of going, and not actually thinking, because I'm pretty sure that there's probably couples that had, like yourselves, working, both parents were working through the COVID, and they didn't get that time to kind of sit back and go, what's going on? But like, again, it's whatever works for each family. It's not going to be for everyone. Like, I know there's that whole thing of the male bravado thing of having to be out earning but like, hopefully that's changing a lot. There's like, I know a lot more stay-at-home dads now. Obviously I know them because they're kind of talking to me, or their wives are talking to me, like, but it seems to be a lot more normalized, I hope.
Yeah, do you ever get comments on that? Do people have an opinion on being a stay-at-home dad? I just want to take a little break for a second to say that I'm delighted to partner again with one of my all-time favourite products, Salin Plus. This is the world's first 100% natural dry salt therapy device. It's clinically proven to relieve a wide range of allergens and respiratory conditions. The salt therapy method has been trusted for generations and is now hugely popular worldwide as more and more people recognise the superb results achieved from a natural and non-invasive method. This device will help you breathe easier and sleep better.
No, most people think it's great, like, but I'd be like, it's nothing. It's not that it's nothing, but it's just norm. Like, the ones I have the most respect for now since doing it is the single parents.
Oh my God.
How the hell? I don't know, like, how they do it, like, because you need that support, some kind of support from whoever, and even just having that person that you can vent to after like a day of, because there's going to be shit days. There's going to be days where just everything's going wrong. If you're a single parent and that you're at home and then you get them to bed and then you don't have anybody to kind of go decompress with, I suppose it must be like, they're the ones I think I have massive respect for them, like, because for me it's grand, like, because I can kind of, at least Aoife will be home. I know no matter how shit things are going, Aoife will be home at 7:30, and there'll be help.
And it's that ability to turn off. Like, if you're in an absolute weapon of a mood and the kids feed off that, because that's what kids do. And despite myself, sometimes if I'm exhausted and cranky or whatever, basically translate that everyone in the house becomes cranky and angry. And turns out I don't hide emotion very well. So you see yourself reflected back at them, and it can get very intense and very awful. And you're surrounded by that parenting guilt as well, where you're like, oh my God, I should be doing better, but I just can't. I've no more to give. And then if you have someone else that can come in and just let you not be responsible for an hour or two, whether it be go for a walk or go for a bath, it is a big relief, even if you're doing the absolute burden and lion's share of the child minding. To know that you're not the responsible grown up in a room is such a weight off at times. So you're right, single parents are actually superheroes who have stamina like nobody else, and multitasking skills and just patience, like, because that's what happens for me. I just lose the patience and, you know, need to step back. You're right. They don't get enough, I suppose, appreciation. And maybe people think that people don't see it. But I think most parents would realise that it would be a very difficult job on your own.
Definitely. Like, and that's why I think when people say, oh, you're doing great, and you're going like, I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm getting through the days, basically. I know at the start, like when I started kind of at home with the girls, it's kind of like you're getting to the end of the day and you're just getting there, and it's just keeping them alive. Like after whatever, a couple of months of it, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm going to get all the washing done. You know, you're just kind of starting to kind of get settled and, you know, right, I'm going to get that 5 minutes to do this or do that. And then you just try and get as much done. That's my kind of main goal now, is that when Aoife gets home, that there's nothing that she needs to start doing, is what I kind of aim to have done.
Can you give classes or something? Because I know a few people who do.
Listen, lots of days where nothing gets done and it's just like, Jesus, I didn't get anything done today. But it's just, there's days like that. It's kind of just the way it is. It's just try and get something done so that she's not coming home and then thinking, I have to do all this other work now that I'm home from work. Because what you do in the chemist is intense and it's non-stop. Like, but so it's just like you just try and do as much as you can.
I think you're amazing and we need to replicate you or something. We're going to get you doing work classes for dads or workshops. No, but I
just think you need to get anyone that thinks that that's anyway is just coming to work for my mum in the B&B. She will kick anybody into shape.
Whip them into shape, yeah. And I have to say, before I get killed, I am very lucky, but like that, because throughout our lives with kids, there's been many a time where we either it wasn't viable to get childcare, or, you know, like during the pandemic it was different, it was forced, but even before that we had no childcare for periods of time, and we used to work opposites because financially that was the best option for us. So it's always been very 50-50 in our house, and kind of remains that way. I'm very lucky. But you do have people, like if I go on a night out, right, which is, I'm going to say like twice a year or something, but people will go, oh, and where are the kids? And I'm like, oh, Alan has them. They're like, he's babysitting. I'm like, sorry,
I knew you were going to say,
you can't babysit your own child. Oh God.
It was said to me, like when I started at home with Gracie, like we were in the local shop and somebody goes, oh, you're babysitting when mommy's at work. And I just say, no, I'm just parenting.
It's really disrespectful. Like
they're like, oh yeah. They kind of just realize, and I was just like, come on. And I wasn't even an older person. That was the thing, you know.
Yeah. You
would kind of let an old granny or something away with it, but I was just like, no, I'm parenting, and
it is mad. You know, like it is mad, the roles. But I think you're right. I do think it has changed. I think there's a lot of people, you know, even like me and, you know, like you're basically divide and conquer, get the jobs done that need to be done, and it doesn't matter who does them. Like, and actually, I know in our house it's day to day, the roles flip. Someone might be on laundry duty, but that's not your job. It's whoever is in the house the most to take the loads on and off and all of that.
When the basket's full, it has to be done.
Yeah. And I know that, you know, I used to find that frustrating, and it's gas to hear you talk about it. And this is a terrible thing to say, but I used to find when we first had kids like that, my husband, you come home from work and he'd be like holding up the baby like the Lion King going, look, it's alive, I did it. And the house would be absolute carnage, like breakfast bowls would still be there, like laundry hadn't moved off floor. You'd be going like, yes, I'm grateful you kept the child alive, but look around, you know. And it's so funny because that didn't last very long, obviously. And of course there's days where you can't do anything when you have young kids, and you know, if you have a sick child and they're napping on you, your job is to sit there and let them nap on you. But it is funny, there does seem to be a little difference there in some relationships between what a successful day at home is or isn't, you know. So it's refreshing.
Definitely, like at the start, that was me. I was that, oh Christ, we made it to the end of the day. But at that time, you're kind of so focused on, especially with Gracie, because it was the first one, I was so focused on her routine, make sure this is done, make sure that's done. So I just took up all my headspace, I suppose. Yeah. So I just like wasn't even looking outside of that. Whereas then once you kind of get into that routine and get that routine nailed, I suppose, you kind of, everything else, then you kind of just get on it, like, because you kind of know what you're what you're doing.
Yeah. And what did you find were the hardest challenges?
I just find getting nap times is always the tricky one, like, is getting them to kind of settle. And like with Kate now, sometimes she's just like, she'd be that far through, she won't take her bottle, and you're fighting her to take the bottle, fighting her then to get to sleep, and then you get her to sleep and she might have this, like yesterday she had a long, like 2.5 hour nap nearly, but like before that there was a full hour of just roaring, and that's them hours in the day that you just can't do anything else, because she is literally trying to roar along out. Like she's just roaring and roaring and roaring, and you're just trying your best, everything, changing nappies, trying to give her something for her teeth, or that's definitely the hardest part. And then next thing she wakes up and she's happy and it's just all roses again. Like it's fine. But there's days there where you just don't get things done because that you're trying to feed them for maybe an hour before that, and then the hour of roaring, and then you get them down, and then you're kind of trying to catch up on yourself, and then next thing they're up again, and you're kind of back into, they're nearly always, if they have that long a nap, then they're waking up hungry and you're going, oh Jesus. But it's happened, and you just get on with it. Like I think it's kind of one of those things you just have to, you realize that it's going to be that hour, or it's going to be that 40 minutes or whatever, and then it's going to finish, it's going to end, it's going to be okay.
The biggest relief I ever felt in like those early years was kind of the epiphany that routines, like, okay, like you can obviously have loose expectations of what should happen in order, but you'll never be able to control timings and say, okay, this is what you're going to sleep. And I think once you kind of accept that your day is at their mercy, and like keeping them content is going to involve delays, and you just have to become so much more of a relaxed person. And I'm such a planner that was actually such a weight lifted off once I realised that. And it's funny, you just kind of roll with it a lot more, as you said there. In terms of positives, what are your favourite parts of being a stay-at-home dad?
I just love having the crack, like in chats with Gracie more so, obviously, because you can talk, but anything can come out of their mouth now. Like it's just so funny. Like, and she just comes out with all kinds, and she just soaks up everything. Like even getting her dressed earlier, like she had on a dress and she got herself all soaked, and then I just would go up and change, and then next thing it was like she had to pick out what it had to be and everything. Like, and it's just, I just love the crack. Like, and before you have kids, you're kind of focused on what you want to do or things you want to do, and it's your time is all your own. Once you have a child, everything is focused around the child. Like your time is no longer your own. Nothing you do is about you anymore. It's all about, like, can we do this? Oh, well, we have a child. So it's like, and that's all, everything you want and everything you do is about them. And it kind of, like, I love that part. And like at the time when we got pregnant first, I thought, Jesus, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to be a dad? And like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, I love it.
I have found in recent years, because now my youngest is 7, so they're all a bit older, and the oldest just turned 11. And there's a middle one there who's 9. And the personalities are so clear now, and so amusing and so fun. We went to Centre Parks for the midterm break, and like it was the first time we went away, and I went like, these are my buddies. Like, this is full on fun. Like, we were all ripping down the slides together and everything, and they were daring me to jump into the freeze and plunge pool. And like, I became a child going, they think I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'll do it. Like, you're going, they just bring out the crack and fun in you. And as you said, you're always surprised by them. And then I think because sometimes you see yourself in them, and sometimes you expect to see yourself in them, and you see a completely different person, and you're like, oh my God, like, who are you and what are you turning into? They just fascinate you all the time. It's amazing. As much as I loved the younger phases, and I love babies, and you kind of go, oh, would I have another one? I actually have to say that this age, getting older, it's lovely to see the personalities comes out, and it's rewarding in a whole different way. So you've a lot of happy times ahead of you.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Your dad was a big part of your life, and I know he passed away 3 years ago. You read a really, really lovely poem on Insta that my own dad passed away 5 years ago, and I found it just lovely. the dash, and anyway, I just encourage anyone who has suffered from grief or loss of a parent or anyone suffering grief to go on and listen to that. And I have to say, your accent, it's great in it. Like, it's very calming and soothing. You read it so well. Do you feel your dad played a big role in your life in shaping you to be the man you are and your relationship with your kids now?
I'd say definitely. When he was alive, obviously, it was like a bit of, I'd be going, shut up. Like, and all the lads, any of the lads would come to the house, he'd be cracking jokes or having, and then you'd be going, Jesus Christ, that embarrassing, shut up. Like, but all of that, everyone loved him, like, because the crack, it's part of where I think, like, Gracie's definitely going to be going, oh, Jesus, Daddy, what were you doing? Why are we making me, whereas, like, that's part of the role of your dad, being a dad. Like, he would do anything for you, back in a way. Growing up, I love cars and looking at cars and driving cars. And I used to go, let's go looking at cars. And he would go, right. And then we'd go away on some Saturday and we'd head and we'd just go to garages and test drive cars that we had no intention of buying. We had no money to buy them, but we would go anyway and we would test drive cars and we'd go home. And you might have gone to maybe 6 garages and try tested the newest car. But it was just, and he would do it. Whereas, like, I'd be thinking, what? Like, I think now, when I'm older, I'm thinking, Jesus, he had some patience to do that. But like, that's what he did it. And like, we used to do it, maybe you could do it once a year or maybe twice a year. Like, and I'm sure the garages were going, oh, this freaking GPA, like, back with the fella. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's things that he'd done like that you're kind of going, anyone else would go like, no. He was always proud of anything. It didn't matter what we done. I done civil engineering in UCD and I got my degree, whatever, the graduation. He was like, oh, just got a phone call from such and a fella and he was just saying congratulations to you, and he was congratulating me, and I was like, oh, right. And he was well proud. And then I went away. I didn't work as an engineer there, and I went to London to be, as the boys in college call it, clown college. I went to music college for a year and we came back anyway, and the band was going well and we done it. We were in a battle of the bands and we won it anyway, and I never seen him prouder. Like, and you're thinking it was just a silly thing, but he was buzzing. I suppose things like that, they always allowed us, like my mum and dad, like, they were kind of like, sure, do whatever you want. And I came back from London. I thought, do you know what? I think I could make a living playing music. And they were like, yeah, sure. Why wouldn't you? Go for it. Yes, it's not, we're not going playing the O2 or anything or the 3 Arena, but you're still making a living playing music, which is class. Other parents would tell you, cop on and give it up. Like, and I've had people close to the family going, when are you going to stop playing the music and start and get a real job? And you're kind of going, well, it is a real job. Do you know what I mean? But mum and dad it never fazed them. Like, I think it's like what I was saying earlier about mum, the work ethic they give us, they know that once you work at something, you can make it work, like that in a way. And I think that's something that's just in us now. Like, we just never stop. It's just you're working, whether it's being a dad at home or working as a band.
Well, I think your dad would be super proud of you, because I don't think you realise you're saying, oh, working, being a stay-at-home dad. That's not all you're doing. Like, your Instagram page is genuinely a tonic for people. Like, I'm so glad that you welcome people into your life and show just a bit of crack and normality, and you've such a great way with words. I absolutely love just tapping into it, because as we talked about earlier, we don't need to be filling our feeds with nonsense of goals that are unachievable or unhealthy or unhelpful. Everything that we surround ourselves should be positive. And I think you can get into a habit of being in a bad mood or being a negative person. I know that, there's been phases in my life where I've found that I get into a rut where I'm like, ugh, moan. And then you actually just go for a walk or something and go, I am so lucky. I have 3 healthy children. I have a home. I have food in the fridge. Like, there's nothing more that I could need. And kind of cop on and talk to yourself. But you can't be positive yourself all the time. Sometimes you need support, and wherever you get it, I'm sure there's people getting it from your page. So you're spreading the joy, spreading the giggles, and it sounds like that your dad would be very proud to see you doing that, as well as being a stay-at-home dad and a musician.
That's kind of the main reason the page can keep going at it too, is people, they do message you going, oh, I needed to see that today, or I just needed to laugh, I had a bad day at work. And you're kind of going, yeah, you're making silly videos. I've never kind of been interested in the following or how many people. And it'll be people say it to me like, "Oh, you've got such an amount of fun." I'm like, "All right, I have, right." I notice it then, or my sister-in-law is obsessed with how many followers I have, and but I genuinely just make the videos that I think are funny, and I hope that other people will find them funny. It's easier that way, and I just love. It's just good crack. I just love it, and I used to follow lots of different content creators. I suppose I don't see myself as a content creator still. I suppose that's what it's called, but I'm still kind of thinking it's just a bit of crack. But I always looked at them going, "Oh, geez, that's cool. Like, I'd love to be able to do that." And then you kind of just start doing it and it happens. I don't know. It's weird. Like, I still find it weird that people are following, but I still think of it as it's just my family watching this. And I don't ever think of it as, there's whatever 20,000 people looking. And you're kind of going, right. If you thought of it like that, I think you would kind of go, you'd stop.
Yeah. And I think then you'd lose everything. It's like we said earlier, Instagram or whatever could turn off overnight. So where you get with it, like for me in the podcast or giving health information, no matter what, my social medias represent who I am and I'm proud of them, but they're not the entirety of me. So they're a great extension of you, but it should always reflect who you are. And if that was or wasn't there, it's not going to change who you are. So I think you're mastering it perfectly because you have a big following and I'm sure it'll only continue to grow because you're gas, to be honest.
But it's like you say there, it's like Instagram could turn off tomorrow. You just don't know. Like, it could be like Elon Musk could buy it out and turn it over, like just go, it's not, and then it just stops. And that doesn't matter because I'll still be acting Egypt with Gracie. I'll still be dancing. Well, it doesn't matter that the camera just happens to, like, we take wee videos at times, but like there's so much more that goes on of nonsense that's not on the phone at all. Like, we don't.
And in the meanwhile, anything that has gone up will have added value to the world. Do you know, like, there's only good things to come from spreading a bit of joy, So I think, you'll always be able to hold your head high and be proud of what you've done, regardless of how it evolved or whatever. I think it's brilliant. And I think the kids are going to grow up absolutely, feeling the same way about their dad as you do, go, my God, wasn't he a bit mad now? Look what we got up to when we were younger. And they'll love it. Thank you so, so much for taking the time to talk to me today. While I would talk about infectious diseases all day, it's just nice to have this bit of a break and welcome light relief in the middle of it all. And I'm kind of going, light relief, we ended up talking about so much about like the concept of Instagram and, it's funny. There's so much to it when you start talking about working in this space. But I really, really appreciate your time and thanks so much for coming on and hopefully, sharing awareness to other parents who might be kind of needing to stop and reevaluate their family situation and know that sometimes just thinking outside the box a little bit can make your life quality better, and that's what it should all be about.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Time is more valuable than any amount of money. Like, it kind of, when you start valuing your time more so than the cash or the money in the bank, you realize a lot more what it's all about at the end of the day.
Happier soul and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Exactly.
I would be so, so grateful if you could give us a little review on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast. And keep an eye on my question boxes where you will get to ask questions about the upcoming topics. I absolutely love hearing from all of you. Do subscribe and follow the show to keep up to date on everything family health. Thank you.